Welcome to Music Maker's Distance Learning Episode 2, which is looking at page 18 through to page 30. Michael, in fact, starts playing the piano part from the last chord at the top of page 17. In fact, exactly the moment where you stopped singing last week. Last week I mentioned the different ways you can practice with the full quartet of singers on the video, or with your single voice video, with YouTube, or with the John Fletcher site. Of course, you also have the option of working with just the piano part, which is really testing, but good practice if you can manage it. But don't worry if that is one step too far. So, on page 18, again, lots of words for the soft chordal bits. No breath after the first note despite the comma. Altos and basses breathe before the last note of the top line, but sops and tenors give the note full value, so overall there's no daylight between the phrases. Then alto and bass count for the very long note. On page 19, the crescendo goes from PP to MF, then full value on the last note of Nineveh. Be very easy to sing Nineveh as you would say it Nineveh with a very short V, but it's a full beat there. Watch out sops and basses as you turn the page to page 20. That is only one beat's rest. It looks a big gap because of the 9 notes in the accompaniment. This is still MF here, but dim to P by the time the other parts come in. Nice strong S on sighing wherever you have it. At the end of the page, watch out for the jazzy rhythm, and Babel itself, and Babel itself. In this section, make sure all the words itself and mirth do come off after a crotchet, no longer or shorter. The whole of page 21 is forte, including the last entry. At the end of page 22, full value on the last note of Nineveh again. On 23, sops and basses start forte and then dim quickly. Altos and tenors start about MF and then dim quickly. At figure 30, the video purposely omits the stringendo or speed up, as it's easier to get the hang of the notes without this, and we can put this in later when we eventually get together. No breaths after itself here for the lower 3 parts, but sops sing exactly as written at the top of 24, breaking after self and in, but not after our. Page 25 has this strange descending whole tone scale which we met last week. This is hard to do, so pay particular attention to the notes here when practicing. At the bottom of 25, everyone gets a gap in the middle of the word or through. In the last bar of 25, no breath after prophesying. Now, the turnover to page 26 is a crucial moment of concentration. The Novello page-turn man was at the peak of his powers in 1912, and this is one of his crowning achievements. At the bottom of page 25, I'm beating dotted crotchets, and it's speeding up quite a bit, as you will hear. Then over the page, the speed of the beat is the same, but now the beats are expansive quaver beats. This is a corner built for a car crash and really could do without there being a page turn there, so be very careful. This new section on page 26 is classic Elgar, the big, expansive legato tune with rising and falling sevenths, just like the Enigma variations, and the words that are both wrapped up in nostalgia, which is a very Elgar thing, and mention the word dream, which for Elgar in this piece always has echoes of the Dream of Gerontius, which he regarded as his rather neglected masterpiece. Not neglected nowadays, of course, but he's not around to see it. Sops and tenors, the second bar of page 26, put the D on the first beat of the second bar. We'll regard this super staccato mark as indicating an accented consonant on the note, which is a bit different from how we would usually look on it. A number of breaths to put in on page 26 and 27. Basses after old in the first bar, sops after dying and coming at the bottom of 26, and then after birth 2 bars later. And at the bottom of 27, basses and sops take a breath after dying and birth, respectively, in the first bar there. At the bottom of 27, note how quick the dim is. You have just 3 quaver beats to get from FF to P. Altos, no breath between the last 2 dyings on the page. Here and over the page, a little nudge on the D of dying every time you sing that word. Watch out for the PPs and triple Ps on this page. Then, as we arrive on page 29, I will go into 4 quavers to a bar. I wrong-footed myself on the video and I beat the first bar in 2 crotchets. It's rather difficult to follow. I just had to sing to my own beat, and that wasn't wonderful. It's strange when you can blame the conductor and it's actually yourself. What is odd about this passage is that the choir and the piano left hand are now in 2/4, but the piano right hand carries on in 6/8 of the previous bit, so it's at first a bit disorientating. On page 29 and 30, breathe every time there's a comma after the word coming or the word birth. Watch out for the pause at the treble F moment. On our recording at the moment, it's just an extra quaver's worth, but it probably will be longer in performance. Then there's another very rapid dim at the end of the page from treble F to just P in 2 quavers. And of course you can't see the P over the page until you turn, so you've got to be very ready to do that. Importantly, no breath anywhere in the second bar of page 30. Then be careful to count and watch for the last long note of this section. And that is the end of this section, so I shall see you next week.